Welcome back to the Teacher's Lounge. We're going to hop right back into our conversation with Debbie Kunes. This is chapter 2. You're generally a jovial person, great to be around. And we have all this stuff going on in the world right now, between pandemics, civil unrest. Has your school made a determination on how they're going to handle the pandemic with schools about to reopen? What is your school doing?
Well, we're really lucky in Phoenix Union because our superintendent puts people before anything else. That is our profession. We're all about people. So it shouldn't be about programs and it shouldn't be about anything else, equipment. And so he took a very big stand, and Phoenix Union is going to be teaching remotely for the entire first quarter. For 9 weeks, we are going to be working remotely. We also have a plan. Students are being issued laptops, if necessary, hotspots. And also, if students still need an environment to learn and to grow, then each school site is going to set up a place on campus that is safe where students can come and follow all the CDC guidelines of social distancing to be safe. It's all about safety, staff safety, student safety, safety in the community. We know that, you have to meet their human needs before you can start to deal with any of their wants. And if we want them to learn, we have to deal with their basic human needs. And so my district is keeping us safe. We have a wonderful virtual platform, lots and lots of training, site licenses for open educational resources. So our district is doing everything with the student in mind, student-centered, and it's all about people and keeping them safe. But also, we're starting on time. We're starting on August 3rd. We know that many of our students have educational gaps and disadvantages, and we do not want to add to that. So therefore, we're going to start on August 3rd, full on remote instruction. We're going to do blocks, and we're ready to go. So I'm in a really good place, and so are my own children and all the students in Phoenix Union.
Now, how much exposure or experience did you have with virtual or distant learning prior to this?
There's the rub. I am very comfortable because of my personal background and experience. So because about a decade ago, being a middle-aged educator, I saw what was coming ahead and that the future was going to involve ed tech. So I just started learning on my own about all kinds of integrative software and programs and ways to connect virtually with students and to host gamification online. That's just me personally. I have many friends who are my own age and even half my age, and they're scared that they're going to look stupid in front of their students if they don't know how to run the technology. They know their content. They are strong in their instructional methods in a face-to-face environment, but they're very scared that they won't know how to run Teams or how to do a video chat or where to upload a form for them to turn in an assignment. So I think that right now it's very individualized. Teachers who feel confident with technology and those who don't. And what I'm feeling is that the majority of people in education were just starting. They were on the cusp of discovery with resources that are available to us digitally. So it's going to be a long time before teaching remotely and teaching digitally has the same impact as face-to-face. That's my opinion.
And that brings up another great point. So virtual learning versus in-person learning. Let's talk about it. Like, do you think that kids learn better in person, or do Do you think it can be equivalent in a virtual environment? Do you think kids learn better virtually? Like, what's your take on that?
So I think that in order for it to be an equivalent, there are many conditions that have to exist. And I don't, a lot of homes don't have adequate space for multiple people to be online at the same time. For example, even my own family, but there's 4 of us. If we were all going to be in a virtual space at the exact same time, 2 of us teaching and 2 of us learning, our house is 1,700 square feet. We're going to hear each other. We don't have a home office. We're very fortunate that we have good Wi-Fi now. We didn't at the beginning of the pandemic, but these are things that we've been able to take care of. There are so many obstacles to setting up a conducive environment online. Many of my students last spring, they went out and got jobs as essential workers. And this was at grocery stores, and their families became dependent upon that income because other family members, maybe they were replacing salary that was lost. And so what I found was that to be an online teacher, you have to be flexible, and our district is really good about training. So we're learning to be synchronous online with our students, where we're in sync. We are teaching online just like you and I. We're engaged in real time. It's interactive, but also planning for asynchronous work that our students can do anytime that is good for them, that they have access to the computer, that they're not at work. So, I'm a high school teacher. My idea of online learning is different than a K-8 teacher. It can be wonderful for credit recovery, for concept recovery. It's good to support instruction, but when you're rolling out concepts initially for the very first time, there's a lot more obstacles online than there are face-to-face. Even my son said, "Mom, I'm scared. How am I going to learn calculus online?"
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
And how am I going to teach English to someone online without body language and facial expression and
When I was
energy?
in college, not to cut you
Yeah.
off, when I was in college at Phoenix College, I had to do a biology class online, and we had to like dissect frogs and all that stuff virtually. It was the worst experience of my life. Like I hated that class. That class was difficult. But yeah, so how
Yes.
do you transition some of that into a virtual? But I assume that there's going to be elements of education. Like there's no part of like there's going to be elements of education every kid has a problem with. Like not every kid is going to enjoy every aspect. So I guess that's not different. It's just there's going to be some things that translate to a virtual environment better than others.
Yeah. And that's true. And so I tell teachers all the time when they say, "I can't teach PE online." And I say, "Oh, yes, you can. You have to think outside of everything that you've done before, because the reality is a different reality." So instead of teaching a basketball drill, well, you might have to now watch an instructional video. You can do a Flipgrid video of yourself doing the crossover step, and then you submit it for your teacher who watches it, interacts. Feedback is not in real time, but you can still get it. So like you said, it's adjusting. It's doing the best that we can while everyone uses this metaphor of you are building the plane while flying it.
Yes, and we hope we don't crash it. So so there's this conversation of with the pandemic, teachers also care about their health, and it's great to hear. And I'm a fan of Chad Geston, Dr. Geston, the superintendent of Phoenix Union. Been a fan of him since he was at Camelback High School. But there's this conversation, and so I'm glad to hear how he's handling it. But there's kind of discrepancies between how our elected officials want to handle it and how schools or teachers feel they want to handle it. So there's a little unrest growing there between schools opening, going virtual, or it being in person. I'm hearing rumblings that if this isn't handled properly, there could lead to another teacher strike. Do you think that's possible?
Teachers, we have to stick together. And even though we're in different districts, working conditions affect student growth. And if we're all about the students, then we're going to support each other in any endeavor that is best for students. I do not want any more of my teacher friends to pass away because they get sick. And I especially don't want them to not know that they're sick and infect a child. And I also don't want that child to take it home to their family. So it's very emotional. It's about people. It's about keeping them safe. The pandemic, if we do the right thing, will not be a permanent part of our lives. But how we treat each other now and the precedent we set for professional respect and work conditions and just value of life, that's going to carry beyond the pandemic and into the future. So, yes, different teachers definitely are looking at different situations, but all teachers need to be safe and they need to be supported.
Coming up next week, more with Debbie Kunes.